New love. It comes with a heady swirl of happiness and the promise of a bright future. But sometimes the demons of the past aren't truly gone.
What's up?
Somebody's watching us. I tell you right now, somebody's watching us.
Are you sure?
Absolutely. I want to go now.
Okay, good.
And the worst terror is yet to come. In the lazy summer days after the workday is done, 18-year-old Deborah Smarella is filled with a sense of possibility. Growing up, Deborah was a Navy brat, moving often. But when her stepdad was stationed in Texas, she decided to come live with her grandparents to finish high school across the river from Portsmouth in Kittery, Maine. But now she's itching for a new chapter of her life to begin, especially when she first lays eyes on Stephen Brown, a Marine stationed at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard.
Is this your bike?
What do you think I stole it?
You never know.
You want to ride?
Well, yeah.
He was kind of boisterous guy, kind of charismatic guy, big talker. He had a motorcycle and she was crazy about motorcycles, so she started to hang out with him.
From the moment she hops on his bike, the two are inseparable. It's the perfect summer romance. But as the leaves start to change, it's time for Stephen to head out.
Yeah, I'm almost done with my time in the Marines.
What are you going to do next?
I'm not sure yet. There's so much out there I could do.
Wherever Stephen goes, he wants Deb by his side.
Hey, I want to meet your folks.
Down in Texas?
Yeah. I bet we could live with your parents.
It's been 2 years since Deb has lived with her parents, but she's more than happy to go, as long as Stephen is with her. In September of 1981, Deb and Stephen moved to Corpus Christi, Texas, where the recently discharged Stephen is eager to make a good impression on Deb's family.
This is Stephen.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Especially Deb's stepfather, Dustin Smarella,
Why don't you come on in?
a seasoned naval officer. At first, the two military men seemed to hit it off.
Deb tells me you're a Marine.
Oh, recently discharged. But I was assigned to an infantry assault battalion.
You have any plans for your future?
Oh, yes, sir.
Good to my daughter.
Yes, sir.
But within days, tensions start to rise. Dustin runs his home like a barracks.
You had to be home by a certain time. He didn't like this, he didn't.
Yeah, this schedule at work is really getting to me.
Within a few months, Dustin's fed up with Stephen's belligerent attitude toward him, and especially toward Deb. He decides to use his military access to check into Stephen's Marine Corps background.
Okay, thanks. Gotcha. Deborah!
Yeah?
I just found some interesting things out about your boyfriend.
What, you looked into him?
Stephen's discharge report details a history of aggression and a personality described as unpredictable and paranoid.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I know exactly what I'm talking about. He was kicked out of the Marines.
Don't listen to any of that. You love me, don't you?
No, I do.
Stephen refuses to stay another minute under her parents' roof.
Let's get out of here.
Where would we go?
We can go down to Florida. I'm sure I can get some carpentry work there. We just need a fresh start.
Whatever Stephen's past, Deborah is determined to make things work. Not only because she loves him, but she's also pregnant with his child.
Okay.
Deb and Steven make their way to sunny Florida, where Steven picks up odd jobs as a carpenter. And with a baby on the way, they decide to take the next big plunge in their relationship. But once their vows are over and done, Steven has news for his bride.
This is my title. I own you now.
What?
And on their wedding night, Deb learns what he means by owning her.
Where have you been?
What are you doing?
Cooking what you asked me to cook.
You're doing it wrong!
Though terrified by this new side of him, Deb deeply believes in the vows she's just made and is fully committed to being Steven's wife.
She was in love with him, and she was willing to oversee that, hoping that maybe he would change.
Hey, Deb!
The morning after, Steven is once again loving to her. And in the days after their wedding, he's back to being the fun-loving, adventurous guy she'd fallen in love with.
What did you get?
Check it out.
Oh,
You like it?
oh yeah.
Hey, let's go hunting.
Okay.
Yeah, then maybe later tonight we can meet some of the fellas, huh?
That sounds great.
I cannot wait to take this little guy hunting.
But in the first weeks of marriage, she learns that Steven's mood can change in a heartbeat for no reason at all. In June of 1982, their son Steven Jr. is born. With the baby comes more financial pressure, and Steven's short fuse keeps blowing, at home and at work.
He just didn't feel comfortable where he was at, or he didn't like who he was working for, so he just, well, fine, I'll just move to another state.
I told you to hurry up!
The cycle of abuse continues as Steven's temper costs him job after job. Over the next 5 years, the family moves many times across 3 other states, always looking for a fresh start. But Steven's rage travels with them over every state line. By the time their daughter Whitney is born in 1987, Deb has spent 5 years living with Steven's cycle of violent outbursts and pleading apologies.
Listen, I'm sorry I lost my temper like that. I'll never hit you again, I promise. I'm sorry I got carried away like that. I love you so much. But if you would just keep things in order around here like I constantly ask you to do, my temper wouldn't get the better of me.
My mom was very timid and quiet. She was scared and very cautious of her actions and her words.
After shuffling around the East Coast for 8 years, Steven lands a job working for someone more willing to tolerate his shaky work ethic, his father.
So they went back to his hometown, Newfield, New York. He was guaranteed employment and a place to live and a place in the community.
Ken Brown owns a fleet of trucks on long-term contract with an oil supply company.
You need to straighten up for this job. Just because I'm your dad doesn't mean I'm not your boss.
I got this. Knock it out of the park working here.
Hope so, son.
Steven now has a protector in the workplace. But at home, there's still no one to protect Deb from Steven. As the kids grow up in Newfield and the marriage marks its 16th anniversary, Deb still hasn't let the rest of her family know about the abuse. When Deb's older brother Woody comes to visit, even he can't see past Steven's upbeat veneer.
We'd hear different reports, and then we'd go out there and visit, and life was grand. The way he talked, it was great. I mean, they had everything going for him.
This job is really working out great. I'm probably up for another promotion in another few weeks, and then just need to figure out where to take the family on vacation. And maybe we'll head up to Maine.
Sounds great.
So many good things happening about.
He was very good at putting on a front for people. He could come off as the world's greatest husband and such an amazing father.
Good time, Woody.
Bye.
but behind closed doors, he was very unpredictable. Anything could make him snap.
Steven, it was a mistake.
After 16 years of marriage, Deborah Brown and her 2 children live in constant fear of her husband Steven's Jekyll and Hyde personality.
There were good times, but every good time we had always had some sort of negative story that came with it.
For 11-year-old Whitney and 16-year-old Steven Jr., coping with a violent father is just a part of growing up.
I always just thought it was normal. Just thought that's how everybody lived. I thought that every husband and father yelled and hit. He micromanaged the house and how everything was run. Every day it was just, running down the list of what you did and didn't do, so you knew what to expect when you got home. Just the feeling in my stomach. Did I pick up after myself? Did I do the dishes before I went to school? You just never knew what would make him unhappy each day.
Even Steven's parents were apparently in the dark about their son's behavior at home. But his dad did see what he was like at work.
He was kind of irresponsible. He didn't always show up for work. There was a lot of conflict, and his father protected him.
Meanwhile, Deb works multiple low-wage jobs to earn extra cash.
He didn't want her working 2 jobs, but he wanted the extra income.
And Deb's income is about to become even more critical to the family's survival.
So, I've got some news. I've decided to retire.
Retire?
It's time. Your brother and I want to move to Florida.
But you can't just retire and leave.
We've put a lot of thought into this.
Who's gonna take your place? Do I still have a job?
This was a big crisis for Steven. His father had been his protector and somebody who looked the other way when he was not doing the job quite right.
With his father's help, Steven is able to land another position in the same field, but for less money and a lower title.
Now Steven was an employee of somebody else's business. They paid him less, and they were less forgiving of him.
How's work? How's the new boss?
And it was putting a lot of pressure on him, financial pressure.
I have to go to work in an hour. I'll go to the store after work.
And he was taking the pressure out on his family.
Anything you want me to buy?
You to buy? You think I can't pay for it?
The abuse escalated.
I was clinging to a phone wanting to call 911, but I couldn't because he had all the phones hooked up on a system that a red light would come on.
Who picked up the phone?
He choked her on the floor until she passed out, and then he punched her in the stomach and he just left her there.
After 16 years of abuse, Deb has reached her limit. Her marriage vows are trumped by her will to protect her children and survive. She escapes with the kids to a women's shelter 2 hours outside of town. Once there, she gets a visit from Steven's parents and some unwelcome advice.
I don't hold my grandparents accountable for anything. I don't even know if they realize the full extent of how he was behind closed doors.
I don't like that you guys spend Thanksgiving here.
We couldn't go home.
No, but you can go home. You don't want to break up your family, do you?
A newspaper later quotes Deb's mother-in-law saying that she didn't know how bad it was, and if she did, would not have urged them to return. But finally, after 3 weeks at the shelter, Deb agrees to give the marriage one last chance.
When we first came back, it did seem like he was different.
Hey, come here. I want to show you something. What do you think?
It's so nice.
I thought you'd like it.
I had a new room. It was all painted. I had some new furniture.
Hey, things are gonna be much better now.
It really did seem like he cared.
You go on in there and play, sweetheart.
But we could tell that in the time that we had gone, something had changed, and he had become even more violent.
I will take out your entire family if you ever leave me again.
This time, as soon as Stephen leaves the house, she doesn't hesitate to pick up the phone.
It's Deb. I don't care what I have to do. I have to get away from Steven.
Hey, you mind waiting for work? Yep. Alright, you better get to school. You're gonna miss the bus.
Clean up this mess.
Mom says we're not going to school today.
Later that day, when Stephen comes home from work,
Deb? Kids? Deb?
his family are out of the house and the state, racing toward her family back in Maine. They've got nothing with them except for a few clothes and an order of protection.
I was just in a daze for the entire drive to Maine. I guess I didn't feel that it was real, that it might not last again. I just wondered how long it would be before I had to return to my dad.
In Maine, they find sanctuary with Deb's older brother, Woody.
Deborah's brother was a very resourceful guy, mechanic, somebody people went to for help.
Are you guys hungry at all? Anything?
He was an awesome man. Woody would give you the shirt off of his back. You'd do anything for anybody.
At his home, they're also welcomed with open arms by Woody's girlfriend, Linda.
It was very scary for me just to be in this incredibly different, surreal situation. But I had actually felt safe for the first time in my life.
Come on, I picked up some snacks for you guys. Don't be shy, let's go.
Also living at Woody's is his good friend, Chris Brouillard.
This is my sister Deb. Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Chris was a real easygoing person. Didn't like to fight. He was outgoing, liked to learn.
Chris is a fellow mechanic and outdoorsman. Like Woody, he's also soft-spoken and kind. And within a month, Deb and Chris spark up a relationship. He's everything Stephen isn't.
When my mom kind of started seeing Chris, she was afraid, I believe, of how my brother and I would react to it. But I knew that she really liked him, and Chris doted on my mom. Like, you could tell that he was just instantly in love with her. And he was so nice to my brother and myself. He actually talked to me like I was an adult, like I was a real person.
In Woody's home, the kids finally experience what it feels like to live with a real, loving family.
Living with my Uncle Woody was different. It was a lot of fun. When I rode home on the school bus, I never had to worry. I never had that knot in the pit of my stomach. He was just full of life. I just never met anybody like him. I'd have to say my favorite moment, we were sitting around a table playing Monopoly. I had never actually done that with a family.
Come on, Woody.
And it was just full of fun and laughter and picking on each other. That was great because we weren't hurried. You know, there was no stress.
But the past isn't finished with them yet.
Hello? No, she's not here, and don't call my house again.
Steven?
Don't worry about it. I'm not gonna let anything happen to little sister, okay?
Now, come on. Steven doesn't get to run game night, does he?
While Deb and the kids are finally breathing freely and enjoying their new lives, Stephen is hell-bent on getting his family back. And 2 months after Deb left him, he gets his chance. Just not in the setting he wants.
She had to come back for a custody hearing in New York. At this time, she laid out all the history of domestic violence, and the kids testified also to what they had seen and what they had experienced.
I saw my dad.
I didn't actually have to appear in court to face my dad. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to say what I actually wanted to say, so I was able to speak with the judge and the lawyers in private, and I was able to tell them just exactly what happened in our household.
Let me live with my mom.
Their marriage certificate
I own you now.
is replaced by a divorce decree. And in a final blow to Stephen's control over his family, Deb wins full custody.
And this was devastating for Stephen Brown, who thought that he was going to be able to charm her back one more time. In addition to all that, he saw her show up at the hearing with a boyfriend. This was a relationship that wasn't about love. It was about ownership, control. When he sees her with another man, he's realized that she is an independent person, and to his way of thinking, she's taken something away from him. This was a guy who doesn't like to lose, and he lost on just about every count.
"36-year-old Deborah Brown and her 2 children have put 400 miles between themselves and Deb's abusive ex-husband. Protected by her brother and his friend Chris, they're learning what it's like to feel safe.
It was a new chapter in our lives. I actually got to be a part of a family.
Their weekends are packed with family outings.
It started out like just a normal Sunday. It was just a fun time for everyone to get together and relax, blow off some steam for the adults, and the kids could run around and get dirty and not get in trouble for it.
But there's still a lingering fear that Deb just can't shake.
What's up?
Somebody's watching us. I tell you right now, somebody's watching us.
Are you sure?
Absolutely. I want to go now.
Hey,
While Stephen Jr. spends the night at his cousin's house. At Woody's, the family settles in for a relaxing, low-key evening.
We started watching a movie, and I fell asleep on the couch that night.
Deb and Chris head to bed for the night soon after.
Hi, can I help you?
Yeah, my car broke down. You were the closest house.
This is a very isolated area. There's no garages around. There's no easy way to get help.
Do you think you want to come and help me?
Yeah, of course.
Because my brother answered the door. He gave you a shirt right off his bag. And a woman in distress, you go right out and help her.
Ten minutes later, another knock at the door wakes up little Whitney.
I wasn't exactly sure what time it was. It was really late, and there was nobody around, so I went to see who was at the door.
Woody says that he needs Chris. What? Where's Woody at? He's at the road. He said he needs Chris's help.
Do you want to come in?
No, I'm fine here.
So I actually went to wake up my mom and Chris, and I just said, there's a lady outside, and she said that Woody needs Chris's help. I'm not really sure what's going on.
Hey, where's Woody?
He's just down the road. He asked me to get you.
Alright, let's go. I'll be right back.
After 45 minutes, the woman is back at the door again.
Okay, what's going on? They need Linda's blazer. We gotta try to jumpstart the car. No, tell my brother I want to talk to him. He's busy. He asked me to get Linda. No, I'll go.
My mom, at that point, knew something was off, and she decided to take me out Linda's truck herself to go see what was going on. She barely even pulled out of the driveway. I could actually hear her screaming, "He's here, he's here."
I'm gonna call 911.
It was at that point that I realized I would probably never see my mom again.
"20 minutes have ticked by since Whitney Brown witnessed her father wave a shotgun at her mother before they disappeared into the darkness.
Whitney, can you tell us what happened?
Just go get them. They're right up the road. Bring them back.
The police ended up showing up, and there was no sign of my mom or my dad.
Police also canvassed the woods looking for any sign of Woody or Chris, who went to help the mysterious woman. Not far up the road, they find them. Their hands have been tied behind their backs, their heads bludgeoned, and their bodies repeatedly stabbed.
I was in shock. I couldn't believe that it was my father that made it, that I would never see them again, and I would probably never see my mom again.
Their chief suspect, Deb's ex-husband, Stephen Brown. But authorities are baffled by the identity of Stephen's accomplice, the woman in the hooded sweatshirt. As dawn breaks, a manhunt is underway in 7 states.
They put out an all-points bulletin to police between Maine and upstate New York looking for her.
Back in Stephen's hometown of Newfield, police hit the ground to put a name to a sketch.
Is this person a police?
Yeah, kind of looks like Patty.
Who?
Patty Teeter. And she hangs around Stephen. She follows him like a puppy dog. Okay.
Patricia Teeter was a single mother and was somebody who didn't have a lot of fun in her life.
Police learned that 39-year-old Patricia is a receptionist at a local radio station.
Kind of a plain-looking woman, nothing suspicious about her, really.
Introduced through her co-worker, Patricia and Stephen struck up a friendship after he helped her with car trouble.
And Stephen Brown was giving her some attention.
Stephen!
Patricia's friends tell detectives that she was a sympathetic ear for Stephen's rants about his evil ex-wife.
She's finally done it. She took the kids and left.
And she hung on every word.
He manipulated her by looking as if he was confiding in her. He had told her terrible things Debbie had done to him and lies that Debbie had told about him in court. He cast the whole story of their marriage as if he was the victim.
Having gone through a difficult divorce herself, Patricia was convinced she could help Stephen, especially when he made threats of suicide.
I just want my family back together.
She's a very gullible person, and she accepted the lies as the truth.
Patricia told her boss about a weekend trip to Maine with Stephen, but she didn't provide much information on their itinerary. Patricia Teeter's name is broadcast across the East Coast in connection with 2 murders and a kidnapping. As night falls back in Maine, there's still no update on Deb's whereabouts, and her children are losing hope by the hour.
It was heartbreaking and wondering, not knowing what was going on with her.
The following day, it went by in a blur. There were so many people coming in and out of our lives. It was just one thing after another, and I was just kind of walking in a daze. I had no emotion. I just completely shut down.
But soon, police catch a major break. A friend of Patricia's says she's spoken with her in the last hour. According to the tip, Patricia mentioned a sign for Albany, New York, near where they stopped for the night.
We had just come on duty for the midnight shift, and one of our dispatchers advised us that a teletype had come through from the Maine State Police. I just assumed that if they had been traveling and it had transpired the day before, that maybe they would be in a local hotel.
On a hunch, Officer Rudzinski drives to the nearest motel just outside the Albany line in East Greenbush. Upon pulling into the motel parking lot, she spots something described by the dispatcher.
As soon as I drove in, I just knew, oh my God, it was the car. I proceeded to go up to the vehicle, observe there was no front license plate and no identifying marks on the front of it. It was backed up really tight to room 27. You're there by yourself. So you're on a swivel. You're looking every which way while you're approaching that.
Do you happen to have a Stephen Brown or Patricia Teeter staying here?
Hold on 1 minute, let me check. Yes, Teeter booked a room, and it was 27 and 28.
According to the clerk, the rooms were booked around 6 a.m. the day before.
Did she have anyone else with her?
I believe there was another woman with her.
It means that as of 19 hours ago, Deb was likely alive. But a lot can happen in that time.
I didn't think there was a great shot that we would find Deborah Brown alive. We were communicating via telephone because we had been alerted that Stephen may have a scanner with police frequencies.
Yeah, this is Officer Rudzinski. Look, I'm at the Econo Lodge.
Officers set up a perimeter as the SWAT team is dispatched.
Of course you're going to be on alert. There's weapons, there's victims, there's multiple suspects. At that point in time, there was a lot of construction workers staying at the hotel. There was discussion whether we should evacuate everyone at that time or wait for a little bit longer until they started leaving to go to work. We were concerned that if we did evacuate them all at that time, that Stephen Brown and Patricia Teeter would be alerted that we were in the area.
Stephen Brown continually said that he wanted to kill himself. And what domestic violence experts will say is that somebody who's threatening to kill himself is very, very dangerous. And once you have crossed that threshold, that you're ready to kill yourself, everything else is possible.
The manhunt for kidnapped victim Deborah Brown and her abductors has led authorities to a motel in upstate New York. The SWAT team's in place.
They're prepared for anything, especially in the instance where Stephen Brown does have weapons and that he's already killed 2 people and taken someone hostage, and we don't know if she's alive or dead at that point. They had to ram the door a couple times because he had blockaded it.
Freeze! Hands up!
He was all talk when it came to being abusive towards women, but when you have 6 or 12 police officers, armed police officers facing you, the bravado was gone. Surprisingly, when he was taken into custody, he was complacent. I think he finally realized it was up, it was done.
Patricia Teeter is in the room next door when police arrest her. But in Stephen's room, officers make an even more important discovery.
I heard one pop, so I figured I got shot. And I'm like, oh God, he got out of bed and he's shooting me. Because I didn't know there were cops. And a lady cop comes in and says, she's already been humiliated enough.
I think that she didn't think she was going to come out of that room alive. I think she just was in shock that she was actually alive and safe.
I asked about my brother and Chris, and they said, well, where do you think they are? I said, he said they were tied up behind the fuel tank, behind the garage, and they told me that they were dead. That he had killed, they killed them. I didn't believe, not even the police department at that point.
Can you just tell us what happened?
Deb recounts a bizarre and terrifying journey that began the moment she followed Patricia out of the house.
I'm like, something's not right here. Backed out of the driveway, looked, there's those set of eyeballs. And he jumped in and we drove down the end of the road and changed vehicles. The car that they said that was broke down was right there by the wooded area with the hood up. They put me in the back seat. He started driving and she kept saying,
all he wants is you and the kids back. And then we can move in together. And we can be one big happy family.
I remember saying, excuse me? I'm not going back to him and I am not living with you. Next thing I know, we're in New York. So I'm thinking, oh God, he's gonna take me back to our house. He's gonna chop me up and put me in the pond and nobody's gonna find me. And he says it's getting daylight, we gotta pull over, get a hotel and hold up till nighttime. And at this point, neither one of them had slept in days. So we got to the Econo Lodge in East Greenbush.
While Patricia watched TV in the other room, Deborah endured a living nightmare.
So all during this time, Debbie has been doing everything she can to keep this guy calm and stop him from committing any more violent acts. And that included having sex with him under compulsion. A prosecutor later said that she not only saved her own life, she probably saved Patricia Teeter's life too, because this guy was very volatile and very violent.
But as Stephen and Patricia tell police, murder and kidnapping were never part of the plan.
He invited her to come up to Maine, and she thought it was going to be like a vacation trip. As they were leaving, he said, remember to bring your shotgun. But she did.
I had it in my mind, one way or another, I was gonna talk to Deb.
I just wanted to help him. To get some closure. I wanted to be his friend. I just went to the door. Steven came out and... But I didn't know he was gonna kill him.
And whatever was done was done. I own up to that.
I just don't understand why they did what they did, you know? So, it's 12 hours later, I finally got to go home, I think, to my family. Oh my God, I was so relieved that they weren't hurt.
I just felt like this weight had been lifted. My mom wasn't dead, and I couldn't even imagine what she had been through with my father for that amount of time.
Days later, friends and family gather to remember Don Woody Wood Jr. and Christopher Brouillard.
So many people showed up to show their love and support.
We had a big parade with all the trucks and stuff that my brother was into.
Woody was more like the father figure, so of course he's gonna protect me. You know, I was his baby sister. And Chris, he is definitely the anti-Steven. They made me laugh because I was so sad and broken that they would all just try to cheer me up.
Stephen Brown pleads guilty to multiple charges, including 2 counts of murder and 1 count of kidnapping. He requests the death penalty, but instead, in December 1999, he's sentenced to multiple life sentences. Patricia Teeter pleads guilty to charges including felony murder, interstate stalking, and weapons violations. In 2000, she's sentenced to 29 years in prison. After 12 years behind bars, Stephen Brown commits one last violent act, hanging himself in his jail cell.
I cried. I was angry. We had a hate-love relationship, I guess, twisted relationship. He was finding my kids. I mean, it was like a chapter was finally closed in our life. He owned me. That piece of paper, he owned me. I believed in my vows, you know, for better or for worse, till death do us part. But at some point I broke. I mean, I was this confident, young, free-spirited girl when I met him, to someone who thought she was fat, ugly, no good, trailer trash, whatever he wanted to call me. Now I do better. I can go outside at night. I don't look over my shoulder. You know, I can live again.